The fifth technology that I'm presenting is called Edmodo. It's an online program. My audience for this video would be colleagues, but I would, of course, use it with students. The objective, students will be able to demonstrate their understanding of a text through deep conversations with peers. I used ISTE 5B and ISTE 7A. Here's Edmodo's homepage. What I use Edmodo for is mostly literature circles and guided reading, but I've also used it for class discussion as well. On the homepage here, you can see that it's kind of a feed of information. It kind of reminds me of Facebook sometimes because of the feed that you can have, and it also resembles Google Classroom in a way. I have over here my class, which has all of my students within it, but then I also have created small groups for my guided reading. So here's my green group for guided reading, and I add my own students from my class into this group, and then of course I have other groups too, so here's my blue group. We do a lot of literature circles in our guided reading groups, so each reading assignment students have a different role. They might be text connector, literary leader, vocab leader, discussion leader, whatever it may be. So here you can see that on February 16th my students had an assignment, and then I start the strand as a discussion up here. I type my note here, so I would put in the date and then post it, and then my students reply to it. So here it says 5 replies. Emma was my literary leader, so she explains her role and what her passage was that she chose. Sydney was my discussion leader, so she asked the questions. And then Caitlin was my connector, Tana was my summarizer, Lily was my vocab leader. So they all post their roles. They just reply to my original post, and they can go in and look at each other's replies. Here's what I really like about this, is Sydney was my discussion leader, so now they can go and reply to Sydney's questions and kind of answer those or say their thoughts. So I think that students are able to think a little deeper using this tool because they're hearing what other students' thoughts are. They're having to take their thoughts and put them into words, and I'm using an online tool to do this versus pencil paper. I can also use Edmodo for other things. Here there's an assignment tab, so I could, as I do in Google Classroom, have them upload something. If I wanted to, I could post a quiz, I could take a poll, I could just share documents with them. So again, it's so very similar to Google Classroom. I would say the reason I like this better than Google Classroom is mostly because I feel like it's visually easier for students to reply to each other. I also had started using this before Google Classroom had come out, so students were just in the habit of using it, and that's why we've just continued to do so. I have done things with my whole class and not necessarily my small group, so I can go back over here to my full class. It has all of the members, and we do different things with this as well. We did an empathy versus sympathy where they actually had an assignment. But for whole class things, I more so use Google Classroom. Anyway, I do appreciate Edmodo just because, like I said, it's almost more of a just visually appealing to them, and they can see things a little easier. So this has been a great tool for our guided reading, for any class discussion really. I use it more so for guided reading in literature circles than anything else. So the students absolutely love it. They'd much rather I ask the questions on here versus a slip of paper or even Google Classroom. Thanks.